that.
I will.
And then I'll send it to you all in 10 years so you all can look at how young you look today.
I will make sure that we're only in French.
So, yeah, so this is Steve Cady with the Change Handbook, and it's our author jam session. And we, it is February, February 15th. And we are checking in. The jam session is intended to be a free-form conversation. And I'm just fixing something here. Let me see here. I want to fix one thing. Somehow I went to full screen and I want to keep it not full screen. I'm still getting, there we go. And so our intention is to have fun connecting and making sure we're up to date on what's going on with the handbook, supporting each other as we do the work that we're doing, and to see what else might emerge. The agenda will be a check-in. The questions on the check-in would be what's bubbling up for you in your work on authoring the book and your work in the world. And second is what's a question you bring today that would be helpful to you with regard to the Change Handbook. And then we'll just check in and take a couple, 3 minutes each to do that. And then we'll pause and reflect on that and then see where we want to go from there. How does that sound to everybody?
Good. Someone is sharing the screen.
One practical question. You seem to have done something, Steve, that has gotten rid of the gallery view. I just have a...
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Someone started screen sharing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whose screen that is.
Stefan and...
German-speaking person.
Stefan Jeffers and Petra Eichhoff.
Yes, Stefan and Petra.
I have
Yes.
it
Yes.
in German screen.
Okay, so Amy is my mentor in Zoom. I've been converting to Zoom. So I'm going to defer to you, Amy, to help me through this.
Okay, so the best thing is for Stefan and Petra to stop sharing their screen, and that's a little red button at the top of the screen will say stop sharing. So I don't know, Stefan, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
And do you see at the top of your screen, there should be a little red button that says stop sharing.
Yeah, shall I press it?
Just click that, yeah.
There we go.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Amy is heading up the whole section of the handbook on technology for collaboration and all kinds of cool things related to that and on online collaboration and so forth. So she's mentoring me a lot in how to use some of the technology. So I appreciate that. So let's jump in. The way I'd like to do our opening would be for, I'll pick someone to go. I'll wrap up last. And if someone wants to go, what's percolating for you around the book and your work in the world? Second is, what's a question you bring that would be helpful to you with regard to the book and your work, if there is? We'll go through and then we'll pause. After I pick someone, after you're done, you get to pick who goes next. So I'm going to start with Frances. She doesn't want me to start. She said, "Don't do that to her." Okay, you can always tell me no.
That's okay. I'm practicing daring faith, so I'll just step in here, Cole.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
And also, Frances, where are you geographically, and what are you writing for the Change Handbook as well? So, who are you a little bit? Okay.
Okay. So geographically, I am in the United States. I'm in Georgia, and I'm in Warner Robins, which is 100 miles south of Atlanta. My Georgia girl is now. What's sparking up for me? That's related to my life and the book.
Yeah, and what do you write? What are you contributing to the book? What is your chapter?
Well, my chapter will be about, I don't have the title yet, but my chapter is trying to identify the soul of the work that we do. And that means that something reflective on why we do what we do, getting back to a deeper purpose for the reason we do the work we do. And in the hope that if we can do that, it will add to our, not only just to our value system, but it makes us more committed and dedicated and creative. And it also, I mean, for some of us may discover that this isn't the work we're supposed to be doing anyway. But this whole thing around change, you know, it's so exotic and sexy to say creating change in the world. But one of the questions is, do we like the idea of change more than we like the commitment for what it takes to create change? But primarily looking at why we do what we do and what's at the soul of that. And some stories that will help us to understand when we're working from our deepest, most committed place, what does that look like?
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's such an exploration
Yeah.
that I'm excited about it because I'm trying to name and codify things that we don't often talk about, that I have a feeling from my own experience and from some of my mentors. There's something very important there that we need to make visible to ourselves. So as you can see, I have a lot of work to do. What's perking up for me in my life generally is very consistent with that, because I seem to be in a very spiritual place and wanting to understand more about wisdom and what it is, how we use it. And so I'm just really in a very reflective place. And people and books and videos and everything keep coming my way to inform that, as you know. So that's where I am. In terms of the book, it's the very big, bodacious thing in my life right now, my chapter, because I'm waiting for that moment when I will stay up all day and all night, 2 or 3 days, and as opposed to, but I do have a lot of pieces of paper that I have to put together. So I think that tells you a lot about where I am. I'm excited about this because it's not something I've done often. I've often written articles, but not a chapter in a book. So I look forward to it, and I'm very, very exhausted because I'm in physical therapy and my body is in shock, but I wanted to be with you today. So that's me.
Thank you, Francis. Do you have a question you need answered today?
Well, if anyone has some magic to click me into that place where I can really get rolling, I would love very much to tell me how you do that. I'll drink anything, you know, I won't smoke anything, but I'll drink anything that you can tell me that would get me into that place.
Thank you. Who would you like to go next?
Hey, Steve, I actually wondered if we could say first and last names. I'd love to know Francis's last name as well.
I'm Frances Baldwin. Thank you.
So pick who goes next, Francis.
They're still
Francis,
muted.
if you don't pick, I'll pick.
Next is Rosa.
Okay, Rosa.
Hi, I'm Rosa Suiza, and let's see, what are the questions? I am in Western Massachusetts, and what I'm writing, I am working with 2 small teams. One small team, we are doing an update on the dynamic facilitation chapter that was included in the last issue of the Change Handbook. And DF is an empathy-based way of helping small groups work with extremely divergent perspectives and to tap into the creative potential of doing so. And with the other small team, we are working on a Wisdom Council process chapter. This is an application of dynamic facilitation that has been being used mostly in Austria and Germany so far, to do participatory public policy processes. And there's a long track record of their work there using this approach for the last 10 years. So that's what the topic of the second chapter is. And next question, what's percolating? Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work lately with empathy circles. I don't feel like writing another chapter on that, but that's been it's kind of a first step for getting people to kind of warm up for the dynamic facilitation work, although it can also just be a really useful way for people to learn, to develop a habit of active reflective listening, which is so key for any kind of conflict work with, so key for so many things. And what I'm loving about it is that it's really a connection practice. So it's not like we're doing a drill or teaching people, you know, how to do something. It's like it's embodied in an opportunity for people to really connect deeply with each other. So that's what's kind of in my percolating edge. And in terms of questions about the book, I don't have one at the moment, but I just really wanted to be here and connect with others and get inspired and like that. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who would you like to go next?
I will choose Stefan and Petra.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, geographically, we are from Germany in the town of Cologne, but we're working in different European countries. Has anybody been to Cologne before? So we would like to invite you.
Yes, I've been to Cologne and I loved it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Cologne at Christmas time in the snow.
So a few days ago, we had Carnival time, which is a very special time in Cologne. And now the serious matter is a change handbook. We really love all the efforts you do, bring people together from the different cultures. And this is perhaps the main issue of our methodology, bringing together different cultures of how to speak, how to arrange, how to make plans and things like that. As you might know, the situation in Europe in the last years was that many refugees coming from Africa and Near Eastern world to Middle Europe, and it's a bit a difficult situation in Europe. So we as facilitators for many years or decades, we're working together. We think that bringing together all the different cultures in an effort to integrate all the differences into one big world issue is very important for us. So our methodology is called the Power of Imagination Studio, and has a lot to do with imagination, of course, with creativity, with thinking about the future, maybe in an artistic way or in a way that you imagine how it could be and how you could engage to bring the world forward. So,
in a positive way.
Petra. Komm, trau dich.
I'm listening.
And do you have a question?
No, there's no question in the moment. We are just busy in completing our real life story. This is especially Petra who's writing the text in the moment. And Petra, do you have a question? So we're working together in a team. Teamwork is very important for us in Germany, and we have a network of people who work with our methodology in Germany and Austria. So it's about 50 people who work with this methodology in the moment here. And it's in the beginning of, in the end of April, just before we will go to Ohio, we have an annual meeting again. And in the beginning of May, we are going to visit you in Ohio, and we're very glad to take part in the conference.
Great, great. Awesome. Well, thanks. And who would you like to go next?
Well, Amy Lenzo is invited.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm Amy Lenzo. I'm in California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. The chapters I'm involved in writing are the introduction to the whole e-technology section. So the kind of overview to this domain. One on World Cafe online, so World Cafe in an online environment. One on, it doesn't have a name, but it's kind of, technology as partner in change work and participatory practice online. And one that I am co-writing with Rowan Simonson, who's here today, on the Central Garden. What's percolating? I was really responding to what Francis was saying about everything serving to inform. When you're writing something, it's just the ideas are just coming in from everywhere, and everything is informing the writing. And particularly for me, who's got like 5 of them or 6 or whatever it is I'm doing. So what's percolating is just the importance of this work, the value of this work, the beauty of this work, and I'm just having so much fun with it. A question about the book that would help me to know, to be honest, there's really a lot. So many questions that I think probably my main question would be, how can I find time to be in conversation with you, Steve, and John about some of them? Like, for example, we haven't even had a chance to talk about the Central Garden chapter, which Juanita Brown was originally asked to do, and she asked Rowan and I if we would do it. So we haven't had a chance to actually talk about this and make sure that works for you, and so on. But if I was going to pick a question, I think it would be in relation to the overview of the e-technology domain, and whether it would really be valuable for me to have access to the other chapters being written in this area, so that I can.
And you will get them, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the answer is yes, and you'll get them. They're all coming in right now in a flurry over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I bet.
3 weeks. And I'm working on all of them in different stages, and feedback will be going out in the next week to almost everybody. I think I can get everybody that's got stuff in, all getting their feedback next week.
Yeah. So I would.
Next week.
Thank you, Steve. And all of those questions are
Mm-hmm.
in the context of recognizing just how much you must be juggling there in the in the center of this all, and just how appreciation, just great appreciation for your
Thank you.
hanging in there and doing what you're
Just
doing.
be patient with me. Be patient with me, but we're going to get there.
No problem.
It's way too important what is going on.
No problem.
It's great. So thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Who would you like to go next?
I will invite. Oh, it's exciting. I get to choose. Rowan.
Thank you. So I'm Rowan Simonson, based in Colombia, South America. And very excited, and thank you for the invitation here, Amy, to join the call today, and also for co-writing the piece on technology and the central garden here. And I've been holding the community of the art of hosting, the light structure that we are working with around how to create conversations that matter for the last 10 years or so. And I'm very excited to see how it is that we can start to connect our different circles of practice and how we can really be in service of what's happening around us and offer these tools, these methodologies from a place of really wanting to serve and really wanting to make a difference, not necessarily being stuck in our own circle of this is the way it needs to be done. Here in Colombia, there's a very interesting inflection point in terms of that there's a call for a lot of conversations, a lot of participatory processes, and inviting to invitation to see how we can deal with the differences, the polarization, and at the same time we're moving towards a presidential election where everything is up in the air and much more at stake than it's been for a very long time. And it feels like that's percolating, like this urgency, this importance of really stepping up, being in service, and inviting the polarization, the differences, the challenges in our context. And it feels like it's all over the place. And in terms of questions, my biggest question is connected. Who are the rest of you? And so I'll just be listening in to see who's in this circle. So thank you.
Thanks.
And I'll invite Melanie.
Hi, I'm Melanie Weir. I'm in Sacramento, California, so not so far from Amy, but we don't know each other, I don't think. I am caught up in a collaboration model of looking at the why, the what, the how, and working a lot from a permaculture standpoint and a food system standpoint and a collaborative model, and trying to see how this kind of merges together. And I'm connecting into John Young's work with Luby McNamara and Starhawk on how to create a welcoming environment, how to balance nature connection, and how to balance people permaculture, people connection, like a three-legged stool model, where if one of the legs is too long, then oftentimes we get out of balance. And what this looks like at our why is that necessary for us to be balanced before we come to the circle of why, and then leading into a kind of deeper question of do we need to be centered when we're doing our work, or can we work off center and come back to our center as we're working? And so a lot of complexity in that. And I think that I'm caught up in the inspiration part right now. Someone asked me yesterday when I walked into a collective space, what inspires me? And I went, and I realized that that's, I think, a part of the process. So my question would be, when you have inspiration coming from you from many different levels, how do you decide what to focus on? Is a big question that's at the center of my work and my personal self right now.
Wow, that's a good question.
It's so big. And let's see who hasn't gone yet. Has Marcia gone yet?
Okay. Hi, I have not, and I just want to listen to everybody else. I don't want to go. It's really fascinating, and I should have had a big notebook here to write everything down. So I have like all these little Post-it notes now. So I'm Marcia Wesley Coleman. I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the U.S. And I'm co-writing the chapter called When Cultures Meet. And I'm writing it with Jeff Boudreau. So this is a framework and technology that was created by Barry Oshry, And Barry Oshry is about to retire any minute now, any next month. And this is a work that he and I have been, I guess I've sort of grabbed the baton and carried it forward. So I'm really happy to be writing on this work, and it's basically what exactly happens when two cultures meet, whether it's two different generations, two different religions. There's so many different definitions about cultural meetings. And so we have a simulation and then a framework that goes along with, you know, what can we do to create a robust culture where everybody's bringing all of their unique selves to the table. So, so that is, that's what we're writing about. And I think I need the same juice that Francis is going to drink with the process. We have a draft that's ready to be sent in. And I think I'm just going to hit send and see what kind of feedback we get and then go from there, because I think I might keep it forever otherwise. And I guess, goodness, I think I have a question about the real life story. I seem to have 3 real life stories and not just one. So I don't know if that's okay or if anybody else has that. I don't have one story that we've tracked along the way. I kind of have examples. So that's about it.
Yeah, so real quick, I think you have an option of showing a snippet of one of the stories so to set context.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to do the stories of amazing change, follow the expanded version, you might take it into 3 stories and have fun creatively weaving them together.
Okay.
Maybe some interesting story. You know how like movies share, you know, take you on the journey of 3 lives, but they together create a story, maybe something like that.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Who would you like to go next? Who would you like to invite?
Okay, let me see. Let me find all the, oh, I don't know who. Tani?
Yeah. Thank you, Marcia.
Okay.
Nice to meet you all.
You too.
I'm in the Netherlands, in the south, small country. And I'm planning to write a chapter about cross-cultural collaborative change. I did for almost 7 years research on success factors of whole system change. And somehow it seems to work in every culture and in every continent, but still there can be cultural gaps. So the whole system work has some built-in mechanisms, I think, to deal with cultural gaps when you do it right. But still, when is it right? And what are things you have to take really care of? For instance, like creating a welcoming environment. What's welcoming for some people does not feel right for others. So, and what I'm occupied with right now is I'm writing a book on action research, but in professional language, not in research language. And I'm busy with in higher education. And I think the main theme is how to help or facilitate professionals improving their own practice in a meaningful way. So to make things more meaningful in their daily work. And maybe the main theme is sustainable organizing, sustainable development. And my question is, I already heard some lines from you I'm interested to connect with. because I'm still a little bit in the bush, in the dark, about how my chapter will connect to other chapters. And so that's my question.
Okay, great. Thank you. Who would you like to invite to go next?
Lojo?
Thanks, Tommy. Again, my name is Laura Johansson. I'm calling from Minneapolis, Minnesota in the US today, and my co-author, collaborator is Seva Gandhi, who is normally based out of Chicago, but for the last 2 months she has been in transition, and now she finds herself in Patagonia in Chile. So she's taking a bit of a sabbatical, and so we are having lots of fun trying to co-author and sending Google Docs back and forth as she takes bus rides and goes for hikes and whatnot. We are focused on the Technology of Participation chapter, or TOP, as some of you know, maybe. The TOP methods have been around since they kind of emerged in the 1950s, and really were developed and grew globally all over the world. And now there's partly through the Institute of Cultural Affairs, and partly now it lives also with the TOP network. So both there's a strong US network and a strong global network as well. In about, I think, maybe 35 countries now, there are practitioners. So our task has been to take, this will be the 3rd time that TOP is in the book. So it feels a little like we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And our task has been to rewrite, update, add, kind of bring up to speed what is happening, and what is the methods are always evolving. They go from helping groups do deep, meaningful conversations to doing participatory planning, long-term and short-term, and in general kind of group journey work. So it's a great process because people are always innovating all over the world, and we gather frequently to say what's changed, how are we innovating, what's new, how can we change, keep updating these. So that's been our work writing. We sent in a draft today. Steve, did you get that? I hope. Yay!
I did.
Can we just do a little applause? The draft is in. Yeah, thank you, everybody. So we'll look forward to getting some feedback on that. In terms of my work, I'm thinking a lot about, I think about constructive disruption, and I know Peggy Holman has written a lot about that, and I think about so much of our work is around systems change and bridging kind of this polarization, and boy, systems really push back on change. They are tough and tenacious, and systems generally want to maintain their power structure as they are. So I'm thinking about constructive disruption a lot these days. And our question, I think, as we sent in the first draft, it was a little bit about the story at the beginning. Seva shared kind of an experience of large-scale systems change in Chicago across neighborhoods and environmental work across neighborhoods all over the city. And she, of course, wrote something that was probably about 2 or 3 times as long as you wanted for that intro story. So she's wondering, does she just kind of do a snippet of that and then the story continues in the larger thing? Or does she actually write a whole, like, package, a smaller package that, like the abridged version that then would be expanded on? So we're trying to decide if it's a teaser.
Yeah. Those are 2 great questions. You can decide based on your community giving you some feedback. I lean towards enough information to give them context for what you do and what it means, and a little excitement about wanting to learn more.
Okay.
And then expanding from there. So more of kind of a snippet that then gets expanded later. However, you may wish to tell, you may be able to tell a package, the beginning, middle, end in a short period that will also work. So I think it's up to you to choose which strategy. I'd be fine with either.
Okay.
Based on what you, and then I would say use your, your community of support to kind of tell you which one they like. I'll give you my opinion for sure, but I think that'll work as well.
Great. Well, you have a little bit longer version that came to you today, Steve.
Okay.
So your recommendation will be great.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't know if anybody else, there is. Are we complete, or is there someone else?
No, there's Henry, and there's a phone number.
Andre, would you share as well?
You need to unmute Henry. Henry, can you unmute? I'll unmute you. I unmuted you. You're good to go.
It works better when I am unmute. I was trying to.
No.
So, well, what I'm going to say is my friend Keith McCandless and I wrote a book, which you may have seen or not, called The Surprising Power of Liberating Structures, which was published a couple of years ago. And after going through the agony of doing that, we haven't written a damn thing for a couple of years until Steve contacted us and asked us. And so we thought this was a good opportunity to kick ourselves in the butt together and try and write something again. And we wrote a chapter which we called Change Methods for Everybody Every Day. And I think that sort of says it all. And we really are convinced, and I certainly have been a protagonist of that everybody should learn a certain number of simple methods that they use all the time, that this is the way work should be done instead of the traditional approaches. So that's a little bit what the article is about. And it's been both fun and painful for Keith and I to throw ourselves into the writing process again. And but it's good. And so what's the outcome of that is that we have made some New Year's resolution to write some other things. What that will take us, I have no idea. But so my interest and hope is actually that as we are in some way connecting, for the purpose of this book, that we're also connecting and forming a community of people who are interested in each other's work and interested in spreading things. Because that is, in fact, the biggest challenge, in my experience, is really the dissemination of any of those good ideas, whichever ones they are. And that's, you were talking about the systems resisting. I don't know if the system, it's people. The level of resistance is and inertia is very big because the train is going in one big direction, and what we are trying to do is going in a very different direction. And so that's my hope. And my experience has been that the people who are attracted with this kind of work are fun and enjoyable to be with and spend time with. So I'm looking forward to an expanded communities. And I have two questions. One for Steve, which is very simple. Love to hear an update about what's going on and what's happening to him and whether he still able to keep his head above the water. And then I have a question for Melanie. What is on that board behind you?
Melanie, you can go answer the question. So I unmuted you.
I've been working with the Impact Collaborative for the Extension Foundation and Food Systems, and luckily that's all you see of what's behind me, because I'm definitely in the messy stage, which was my question about when everything's inspiring you, how do you know where to focus? And we're really looking at building the Impact Collaborative to boost innovation across the Extension Foundation, both within and without Extension, but also how that relates to food systems. So behind me is 10 topics of food systems I'm trying to focus on and engage that inertia that you were talking about of Extension around some common themes to see if we can take that train on a track somewhere and if people will come along with us.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'll answer the question, Henry, and Birgit, you get to wrap us up with the last. So I'll just quickly answer the question. 2 parts. One is I'm doing really well. I couldn't be more energized when I get to sit with a group of people like this who have the heart and the wherewithal to actually make things happen. You are doing things that are important, and you are people who get things done. And that's why you're here, because you're able to document and share and scale what you do so others can also do it themselves. And you empower others to have that ability to make a difference. So it's absolutely fantastic. I get to talk with someone almost every other day about what they're doing and be a thought partner with all of you. And so I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of mystical in one sense and very practical in another sense, because I'm just learning. And so I'm just super, super excited. I'm doing fine. As you know, Jennifer had a bit of a problem personally and health-wise, and so I've got John who's helping me, and John's a student, and John may in the summer do something else, and somebody else will have to step in. But I've got having that administrative coordination support is really important, and that seems to be working okay. Just a little bumpy at times. And I think I got a good system down to make sure I don't miss communications and that I'm following that. That's what bothers me. If I don't have a sense of control over who's where, who's what, and I got my spreadsheets and I got my file folders, I got a system, and I've got people supporting me, and having that organized and nicely tuned, then I'm good. And I feel pretty good about that right now. Even though it's been still a little clunky, I'm feeling much better, and I think I'm in the right spot.
Did I hear the word control?
What's that?
Did I hear the word control?
Yeah. I know. I could sit back on the couch and you could counsel me on that one, right? So I do let go. I do let go and ride the wave and be a part of that as well. I think that wicked question, which I love I've used that so many times. The instructions that you provide around wicked questions is beautiful, and that helps me. So, but you're right. And so I feel pretty good. I feel I'm in a good space. I'm very grateful for all of you and being a part of the process. The book right now, we got lots of chapters coming in, and they are all going through processes of feedback. I've got some people from the Writing Center at the university that are coming in, and we are actually using a writing protocol that's using for evaluating writing at the university. So I've got people helping me to review the writing, and we're working together. So it's multiple eyes are looking at your document. And I've got a checklist, and I got a process and so forth. So we're doing pretty good, and we're on the same page. And that's where I'm in the process of doing. So we've got a nice team working with me around us providing you with feedback, and I'm checking, and I'm the final eyes that look at them. I look at them when they come in, I look at them as they do their work, and then I look at it as it goes out. So, and so that's how I'm managing that, because we right now have probably 175 invitations. I have probably about 30 right now that are in, and they're coming in every day. Everybody's kind of like, I'm coming, just sent you one, that kind of thing. And which is great. And so what the other thing is that to update you on is I've got a group of computer science students that are writing an app, and it's going to allow us to have for people to continue to submit next year and the year after, and as it grows. And I want to create an emerging section and an incubation section for people that are really brand new, There's going to be a way for things to be, you know, and what's established, what's got, you know, so there'll be some variation, some way of doing it so that it complements everybody, encourages everybody, and helps people to find the methods. And I'm going to be relying on all of you to help me continue to make that system and that process for people to make sense of it, to find there's going to be a matrix that, you know, that's in the change handbook that's going to need to change. I'm going to be asking you all for feedback on that. And so there's a variety of things that are still in the works. Right now, my focus is on getting feedback to everybody and keeping my head above water, as you say, on that. So thank you for asking. And last but not least is we got Craig. Hey, Craig. And then Birgit, if you would like to share with us. And Craig, we're answering the question. After Birgit, you'll go. It's who are you? Where are you geographically? What are you? What's your chapter? What's percolating? And then if you got a question that you would like, that you'd love to have answered, or if a question was answered, that if it was answered, it would be helpful to you. So glad you're here, Craig.
Thank
so
you.
Birgit, I can't hear you.
Yes, I haven't spoken yet.
Okay, there you go.
So, Steve, thank you. And it's so great to see all of you, and especially for me, some people that I've known in this circle for some time, but haven't talked to in a while. So it became so exciting for me. I have taken in so much from what you've said. I laughed at the challenge to the word control. So I'm simply going to say about control, I love control. And here's how that works out for me. When I've got so much inspiration happening that I can't focus, I think, Melanie, you were the one that said that, then I go and I get my vacuum cleaner out and I vacuum a carpet, and I feel like I have some control over part of my life just for a minute, and then I can deal with all my ideas. But if I don't have that little bit of a sense of control, the rest is too. It's so expansive. I can't keep up with it. So that's my little mini story. I am located in North Carolina. I was born in Germany and I lived most of my life in Canada. So I have a beautifully diverse perspective from having been in a number of cultures. I've worked in so many places in the world that I love what life has given to me in relation to how I get to view things. My dominant perspective has a tagline that is walking the mystical path with practical feet. So I'm not writing about that because that's not what this book is about. It's simply a personal lens. And I put a lot of emphasis on the practical. And so in terms of the chapter that I'm writing, I haven't submitted anything yet because it's still in a focusing stage. It certainly will include the Genuine Contact Program, which has a blend of several pieces that are very effective in bringing about intentional change. My passion with that work is once an intentional change effort has happened, then what? And that's what I'm going to end up focusing on, because in change work, there is so often a backlash to what has happened. And I think that a lot of the look at change work that ends at the point of a successful change, whatever it is, people leave, they feel good. writing. They feel so good. And then I have tracked what happens after that. What actually shifts in action. So I'm quite interested in looking at that. I'm interested in looking at the fact that those of us who talk about intentional change work of some sort, that the leaders that we're wanting to affect and the people are operating within a performance environment of constant change. So they're already sitting in constant change. So how is it for them with the interplay of an intentional change effort when they're already dealing with so much change to contend with, and they and their organizations have to perform? So I'm narrowing that down. I'm focused on a particular story to make some of those points. And my question is about the stories, because I certainly am focusing my chapter around a very rich story that took place last year in India. It's a fantastic change story. And at the same time, we have some other stories, and I understand, Steve, that you're going to also have a companion book or something about stories. So I would like to understand the linkage between them. For example, because all of our stories use the Genuine Contact Program, it's my hope that we don't have to repeat pieces about the program in the various stories, because somewhere they could refer to, here's the body of work we're using. So I would like some guidance on how to handle that piece.
So great. So I'll briefly, and then I'm always available to follow up with you. Always welcome that. One is the intention for the story for the chapter is to set the context and get them kind of ready to read the chapter. So it gives them a bit of context for thinking about the rest of the chapter. And the story, you don't have to repeat the methodology. I think tell the story in any way that you want, that you feel will be helpful and inspiring and encouraging to others. And you could write multiple stories for the stories of amazing change. It'll be a companion book that will be an expanded of the expanded story. So the idea is that you would share with us a snippet, an intro, a piece of it that sets context for your chapter, and then you tell the rest of the story and elaborate in 2,000 to 4,000 words as an additional chapter that would go into the other book that would be stories of amazing things. And I'm really cool with you doing what you want to do with the story. However you want to share the story that you feel will inspire, encourage others, and help them.
Maybe you should produce a book about failures.
I think that might be next. We'll start with the amazing ones, and then we'll go to the amazing failures. Could be like the really wow ones, yeah. And then we'd have to do a comedy show to go along with it. So Craig, you can wrap us up, and then we'll just kind of do a little closing. And thanks for being here.
You're welcome. I have been bedridden for just under a month. And so that's what you see. And so my book is, our chapter is The Art of Convening, Authentic Engagements in Meetings, Gatherings, and Conversations, which is the title of our book. And I'm co-writing, I co-wrote it with my wife, Patricia Neal, and Cindy Wald in 2011. and that is that's the chapter that we're writing. And the focus on change, actually, we focus on transformation more than change. We look at change as a repetition of historic patterns, which is not a judgment, but that's just kind of the frame with which we look at change. And we look at transformation as the shift in the essence of something. So what we're after is really the transformation. And we do that through what we call convening. It could also be called hosting in some ways, but we decided to call it convening. And so we've been at this now for 17 years is when we began doing a teletraining called The Art of Convening back in 2004. And we've evolved that over a period of time to a series of workshops, trainings, et cetera, that we offer inside organizations and elsewhere. It's based on the 9 aspects of a convening wheel and goes from the heart of the matter to a commitment to action. So that's what the chapter really goes through, that methodology and how it is a transformative process that we use inside organizations, in simple conversations, in all sorts of venues. The chapter or the story itself, and we've submitted the chapter and we submitted the story. The story was co-written by myself and a client. The client is a large government agency here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. That's where I am. I don't think I said that's where I am. In the Twin Cities. And it's really a utility. And we spent 3 years working with them. So it's really a 3-year story of culture change or culture transformation, of how we worked with this government agency from kind of the middle up. And we are now in the process of scaling it throughout the entire organization. And the it is basically what they are calling, and they have kind of taken it as their own, the art of convening, the 9 steps of collaboration, because the vehicle for cultural transformation for them has been how to create collaborative internal systems as well as external. We first were brought in this case, and this is in our story, to help them manage, in their language, their external engagements with clients, with what happen to be elected officials, engineers, et cetera, from a 7-county area, which really revolves around the water supply and wastewater for 70% of the state of Minnesota. So the number one question they had for us when we began, which was really, how do we get them to stop yelling at us? That was the biggest question, because they would go to meetings and just be harangued by clients, by the officials, by even the public, being a utility. The shift occurred when it became clear that the change or the transformation had to come from within. And that has been the most exciting thing in working with this client, was that it's really been an internal process to learn that for them to really come at it themselves from a place of their inner transformation. So I guess that's it for now. We've submitted. The only thing that I haven't submitted is the top line summary. And I guess I'm waiting to get a little bit more direction from you, Steve, as to whether we're on the right track or, you know. So that'll be easy to do if we are. If not, then, you know,
Well, you're doing great.
we'll have at it.
Yeah, no, you're doing great, and you all are doing great. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My question. Oh, I'm so glad to see so many people here, and I know some of you, and from the Art of Convening, and also just around the world from your great work that you're doing, and as BK authors. My question, I guess, for you, Steve, is what's more? How are we doing on the timeline? And what more do I need to do at this point to keep the ball rolling?
Okay, great. Thank you. And then, okay, great. And so we'll wrap up right now. I'll wrap up with the answer. And Craig, would you welcome the whole group sending you healing energy?
I sure will. I have shingles, and I don't know if anybody else has ever had shingles. It's not easy.
I've had it 3 times.
Oh God!
Since I was 13.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah. So you'll be okay. You'll be okay.
Thanks.
You'll be okay. You'll get through it. So let's. I will follow up with an answer in general. I'll be giving you some feedback. I got a team of people working with me from the Writing Center that are trained in giving written feedback on writing, and we're working together to make sure everybody's getting feedback in an organized and hopefully very thoughtful and helpful way. And that's coming in over the next week to 2 as they're coming in. And we're all working right now on that. The second thing someone asked about is we're having a conference with Nexus ISODC in Bowling Green, May 16th, 17th, 18th. I'll send that to you all. And so some people are coming to that, and you're more than welcome. I'm going to invite you and have you come. And those that come, we're going to talk about next year, same time in May, as a design team, about having a big celebration coming together and figure out how we might do that. And so I'll be sending more information in on that. So as we wrap up, let's just, however you wish to channel your energy, and I think we want to send healing energy to Craig as well as to each other at the same time. And so I'd ask us however you wish to do that. I've just got my hands out for Craig and all of you. And I'm asking and directing all the healing, inspiration at a cellular level towards Craig, that we renew and that you renew and that you feel it at that deep level, at your cells healing, in your whole body healing, and you spiritually connecting and healing, emotionally, and for all of us to connect this great energy that we bring to the world. We do so much for the world, and sometimes we need to do more for ourselves, and let's all share in that with each other right now. Okay, thank you. I'll be sending a note out on the next jam session. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, Stefan and Petra. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao.
Bye. I'll see you all. And I'm looking forward to you all coming to Ohio. That's great.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I look forward to seeing you in person. It'll be very nice to have you here.
Yeah.
Fine.
Great. Well, enjoy your weekend coming up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mimi. Nay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.